Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, we give cancer to a lion, or something like that. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little chunk of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Michael Rodriguez.
He's back, everybody. He's back. Woo! I mean, he still sounds really sick, but he is vocal. So
thank you. Yes. And I'm here, and I'm ready to talk about the galaxy full of rogues. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Spiff came down with something last night. Like, he sent us a message at like 1 a.m. that was like, "Hey, I feel really sick. I took some pills, and they'll probably knock me out until after we record." And I'm like, okay, I guess that's fine.
I guess we'll never see him again.
I'm glad we got through 2 episodes of Rogue Galaxy with the whole gang here.
It's important to say, though, that I do hope that Spiffle feels good.
Absolutely.
I understand what he's going through. You need to drink a lot of water and a lot of orange juice to do that, too.
Yeah.
So, this week, if you're just tuning in and you aren't in our Discord and on our Twitter and stuff, we didn't finish chapter 8. Like, I had warned that this would probably be a thing last week, and sure enough it was. So for what we're talking about today is just the Vedan and Juraika sections of chapter 8, which is called Chasing the Legend. Last week we used the name because for some reason when I Google like chapter blah Rogue Galaxy, this one particular FAQ pops up, and that one uses the Japanese name in it. And so 90% of the times I'm like, oh yeah, what's it called? Let me Google it real quick. And I'm like, this is the name, and then it's not. And so
whoops.
Last week I said the chapter was called Seeking for the Legend, but it's actually called Chasing the Legend, which is a much better name. Oh, hey, Spiffle just said that he's not coming today, so...
He says he's dead.
Yeah.
I'll resurrect him later. I'm a holy priest. Okay. It'll be fine.
So the first one we'll talk about... So I actually did these out of order. I know that I said, hey, everybody, do them in this order so we'll have the same experience. But I was making my way through Vedan, and I was kind of...
Making your way downtown.
And I was kind of getting my butt kicked, like, a lot. And so I was like, I'm mad that Desert Wind doesn't work anymore. And if I'm trying to, because most of my time this chapter was spent clearing up my inventory, where I would assign someone an old weapon, get it to max, fuse it, and then keep doing that. So I was like switching people in and out the whole time, and because of that, nobody else had Starshine 2 like Kasala did. And so I was like, man, I need Desert Wind 3 so that I can kick ass and take names. And so I look online, where do I find the rose so I can get Desert Wind 3? And it's like a super rare drop chance on Juraika. So I'm like, cool, I'll go do Juraika first. And did not find the drop in Juraika. So all I did was mess up my plan to do things in the same order. But yeah, so my notes might differ a little bit because I did some stuff out of order. Like specifically with the Mark storyline. I don't know if y'all got any Mark stuff, but like the things that you get are in a specific order. So if since I did them out of order, like I might be like, oh, there's the Mark cutscene here, and you're like, no, there's not. I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, I don't think we got any Mark cutscenes.
Okay, then I think they all happened after Zerard, but. I did.
That's very possible.
I did because Mark is super important to Zerard, so like it makes sense. Like that plot comes to a head in the Zerard chunk, and so
right.
Like because of that, there like he shows up in all these other places. But yeah, I did things so out of order. And spoilers for the end, the way that I accidentally did it. So next week we're going to be talking about Alistia and the rest of chapter 8.
Alistia.
See, I have it.
Yes.
I have it Altissa. I have Alistia. I have every word wrong. But
Alta Vista.
Yeah. Babelfish. Sorry. That's a reference to Babelfish's URL, which back in the day, A, Babelfish existed. B, it was babelfish.altavista.com.
Yup. Oh, I remember.
Anywho, so like this once you finish get the last key piece, it flings you into chapter 9 the moment you go back to your ship. So next week, since we'll be talking about Alistia and the rest of chapter 8, I have to go and play the first like hour of chapter 9 because I've already done part of it, and it's super cool. So get excited. But I've played like the first hour, but I died on a boss and had to go back to do it again because
That's heartbreaking.
There's no easy save spot. So I have to go and do that, then go do Alistia, and then be ready for the next week. But it's gonna suck, but I like it. Like this part of the game, even though like next week I'm gonna rail on Zerard pretty hard. I know it's coming. But like this part of the game story wise is like picking up and like being interesting, and like things are happening where like I want to know what's next, and it's really good. And I'm seeing like why everybody is that I told we were playing this game was like, oh my god, it's so great, I'm so excited y'all are doing this. I'm now seeing that side of the game, and it's pretty exciting.
A lot of the story is a lot of it's coming together, and I appreciate it because I think that I expected there to be more worlds, but really it's recycling the 3 worlds and adding on to things that you haven't seen already, which I think is pretty creative. So I appreciate that about it, but I would agree with you for the most part.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked the most about Kingdom Hearts 2 versus Kingdom Hearts 1 is like Kingdom Hearts 1 was so episodic because you just like you went to Deep Jungle and then you left. And then you never went back into Deep Jungle ever unless you were finding a treasure chest you missed. No reason to backtrack whatsoever. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, every single world had 2 parts to it, where you'd go the first time and then you'd come back the second time to stop a organization member. And like I loved that. It felt more like a world you were questing in rather than just a bunch of episodes. And this one is the same way. Like I feel like even thankfully the second Juraika chapter doesn't have the same music, but like I feel like going to Juraika like was exploring more of the world that existed and all of that stuff, which is like it's really coming together, and I'm liking it a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then of course now that it's that I have Supernova, my replacement for Desert Wind, it's super easy again, so everything's great.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I was watching a playthrough where Desert Wind was really OP.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's canon.
Is that just where you get like wind up and you break everything with it?
No. So Desert Wind, first off, you should go. Well, now you're probably past the point of using it, so use Supernova instead. But Desert Wind is a area of effect spell. So it hits every single monster that you're fighting with, and it is super duper strong. So like all the way up until the end of chapter 6, you could just one-shot every trash mob group that would show up. They would show up, you would just do Desert Wind, and the battle would be over. Now you can do that with Supernova. It's also an AoE, but it's the combo spell between Jaster, Kasala, and Zegrum. And so their combo attack is also an AoE spell, and it also kills everything in one hit, and it makes this game so much easier.
I do not want to hit everything with Desert Wind, so I'm doing something wrong. Okay.
Well, now at this point you won't one shot them anymore, but the Dorgengoa coin that he gave you at the end of whatever chapter that was when you finally met Dorgengoa, you plop that into your thing and you unlock Supernova, which even Supernova level 1 like wipes the floor with everything, does like 7,000 damage per mob. It's ridiculous.
So can use that in a different revelation flow, and we don't have Supernova.
The Dorgengoa coin is in multiple places? I swear it's only...
I don't know if it was... It may have been the Dorgengoa coin that he used in Supernova, but there was something else that he only found one of, and he put it in someone else's revelation.
Yeah, I don't think it's...
So we don't have Supernova.
Weird.
So...
I swear it's a key item that only can be used for
that may be the case. I would have to watch my Let's Play to know exactly which item it was, but he only found one of them. He put it in a different revelation flow. So...
Oh no, that's for Shooting Star. I think Shooting Star opens after, or Supernova's after Shooting Star. So I think you didn't lock yourself out of it. You just have to go and unlock it after that. But yeah, also much easier to get and doesn't require a key item is on Kasala's. There's one called Spinning Moon. And
yes, we do have that.
Spinning Moon is actually stronger than Supernova, so you don't even have to keep Zegrum around. You can leave Zegrum behind and have Kasala and Jaster and Digo, because why would you have anyone else? And their combo attack is really dope.
I didn't know that Spinning Moon was more powerful.
Yeah.
Or else I would have been telling Ken to use that a hell of a lot more often.
That's like my go-to is just Spinning Moon. It's so good.
Cool.
But yeah, let's get started talking about Vedan. For all of these dungeons, they like when you land on the planet, there's no plot like, hey, I wonder where we should go. Like, where is everything? Like, you just show up and there's a mini map marker and you walk to it. And I part of me wishes that it was more like an involved plot, and like all of them have like plot when you actually get to the ruins, but like there's a good like 20 minutes of like walking out to the ruins that like could have been harnessed for story reasons, but oh well.
It could have, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. So we make it to the section of town that was closed off before, and we're stopped by some Lungardian guards, and they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. And Zegrum's like, well, guess we got to kill some people. And Jester's like, no, we can talk our way out of it. And that fails. So they have to go with Zegrum's plan, and then you Desert Wind, etc., and take them all down.
That's part of the lore.
Yeah.
He does it wins, and the cutscene ends.
Yeah.
That's it.
And after we kill them, they call for backup, and they're like, we got him surrounded. And then the sewer grate pops up, and a street youth is like, hey, come with me if you want to live. You can trust me. I'm dirty, but I have a heart of gold. And
Ken was like, I don't think we should go. It seems like a trap.
So we head down, and there's like an entire like Lord of the Flies-esque like children underworld city down there with all these homeless kids that hang out in the sewers, which made me think that Vedan really is just like Depression era gangsters on a whole city. Like
Actually, if a poor man came out of the ground and was like, come with me if you want to be safe, I look dirty but I have a heart of gold, I'd be like, you know what, I believe him. Like I'd be like, you know what, he's really aware of himself. I'm gonna go with him.
Yeah.
And so we go down there, and they tell us like, oh, we live down here, we don't have any parents, blah 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 blah, everything is sad. And we're like, that's cool, but where's the treasure? And they're like, oh, well, it's over in the Cancer King ruins, and as a matter of fact, my friend Borga went over there and he's never come back. Can you like go and save him? And we're like, okay, cool, we'll go and get him. He's like, cool. A lot of people don't want to help because he's a beast. And then everybody but Jaster is like, oh, a beast? Well, fuck that. And Jaster's like, but no, he's their friend. And yeah, like everyone was
he's a beast. He's got fangs, razor sharp ones. Sorry.
And so, yeah, everyone's a little bit racist except for Jaster. And we make our way through the sewers. Eli, what did you think about the dungeon on Vedan?
It wasn't too bad, actually. I thankfully have a grinding slave named Tuxedo Ken, and also a play the game slave. So we got through it pretty easily, as I recall. In fact, our playthrough of it only took us like an hour and 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but it definitely felt like it was a little bit of a maze, but it also was kind of straightforward.
Yeah.
In a way, because there's a lot of like different levels to it, because of like, you know, there's the bottom level where all the gross sewer water is, and then, you know, there's like platforms that you jump on, but you can a lot of times easily jump back up to them if you fall down.
Mm-hmm. There's usually conveniently like a piece of rock or something there that you can jump on to then jump back up if you fall down.
Yeah. So, I mean, in general, that one didn't go too bad for us.
Yeah. I really liked it. Like it reminded me of the Water Temple, which is still my favorite Zelda temple, even though everybody else hates it. Yeah, I loved like the multiple levels of it. Like the Juraikan ruins use the multiple levels better than they did here, I think. But I still loved like exploring vertically because they gave us a jump button at the beginning of the game, and last episode was the first time they asked us to explore vertically, and so like I loved making my way through all of it, and it was pretty...
interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I was done.
No, interestingly enough, as the game goes on, the design for these dungeons get better, in that they aren't so suffocating to be lost in, like the prison. Maybe I'm just scarred from the prison.
Yeah, I'm a little bit traumatized by the prison.
Yeah, that was a really not good experience.
Yeah, and like the worst dungeon so far has been Juraika. Like you walk through a hallway, you get to the end, then your mini map updates. You walk to the other end of the hallway, and you wash, rinse, repeat 3 times.
Our playthrough for that is called Hallway Simulator, the game.
Yeah, it's not like exciting, but then like the prison, while suffocatingly huge and exhausting, was like better designed at least, and then the like about half of like the spaceship rooms of the factory were good, but the hallways there were the worst hallways yet, and because they were actually hallways in a building. And then this chapter, I thought all 3 of the dungeons were like brilliantly designed, with an asterisk next to Zerard that I'll go off probably at the end of this episode to get us ready for next episode. But yeah, like the dungeon design is getting much, much cooler, which I wish we would have had that a little early on, because now like I'm starting to get where I want to recommend this game to my friends, and I now have to be like, okay, you have to get to chapter 6. Once you're in chapter 6, everything is awesome, but that's 10 hours of the game or more.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
You gotta really push yourself through 10 plus hours of gameplay before it starts to get good. Yeah. I don't feel like that's amazing design. But
all they would have to do is like pretty much cut out the jungle planet and send us to the jungle planet for the first time here in this chapter. Because like, except for getting Lilica, nothing really happens. And so
we could have gotten Lilica when we were doing the Leo King.
Yeah. And so, because we met Burton on a different thing. So Burton could have put us on towards the Juraika, and we go to Juraika and meet Lilica there type thing. Like they could have like just excised that part of it, because then like the prison isn't bad. The factory isn't bad. Like both of those are much better, like first dungeons than Hallway Simulator, the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so when we're making our way through the Vedan dungeon, we come to like a roaring river in the sewers, and we can't get across, so we call up Harry. I forgot to mention his name was Harry, the kid that saved us, and he comes in with a small box approximately the size of a microwave, and he's like, oh, the river isn't always like this, but don't worry, I can help you get across. And he pulls out an entire wooden bridge like that a car could drive across out of that tiny ass box. and he's just like, okay, cool, like this is safe, I do this all the time. And I'm like, well, is no one going to talk about the kid's magic box? And so I wrote I wrote
also oh, go ahead.
I was just saying in my notes, I called him Harry Poppins.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Well, my concern was, how the fuck is this bridge attached to this?
Right?
There's like
no
rocky.
There's no post. There's no like stakes. It's just
there's no one on the other side to like set it up. He just like. It's just there, it looks like Steve is poking at it like, is this okay? Like, this doesn't look okay. And I'm like, I'm with you, Steve. And then we jumped in the water just as an experiment, and it did nothing. Like, we just kind of were floating there.
Wow.
It didn't push us anywhere. Yeah.
I didn't even try.
Really
I figured there were
unexciting.
invisible walls, so I didn't even test it.
Nope. It was hilarious. We're just like, well, that's...
Yeah, that's... Plato's the cave in video game form. Well, I figured there were invisible walls, so I just didn't even test it.
It's not like it did anything. We just kind of like floated around gently through the rushing current.
That's beautiful.
It was awesome.
So before Harry leaves, he tells us that this river is where he met Borga, who saved him from drowning when it was flooding like this before, and get a cute little flashback there. Then towards the end of the dungeon, we see this place called the Pit, and we see Seed is there. What would you describe this boss arena, and besides it's a boss arena, and what function does this have in the sewers to just be this big old bottomless pit with a platform above it?
Yeah, I don't know where why they would put that in a frickin' sewer.
No idea. It's probably part of the Cancer King's ruin. So another question, what purpose does a bottomless pit have in the middle of your castle? Like
for getting rid of all your junk that you want no one to know about. And also, I mean, it's a mafia planet. They probably toss dead bodies
right?
down there all the time.
Like, even back when it was the Leo King, like there was just not Leo King, when it was the Cancer King, he still was like, yeah, well, you're going to swim with the fishes in this giant pit in my
toss them
bedroom.
into the bottomless pit.
But yeah, it was nuts. So when we get in there, Seed is there, and he says that we're not the ones that are going to get into Eden. We should give up now, and we say no, and we fight. It's another health bar fake out fight where you only have to get a tiny chunk off, and then the fight will end early. And at the end of it, Seed and Jaster are stuck in like an angry anime sword grapple, and Jaster wins and pushes Seed off the platform, and he falls into the pit. And Zegram's like, well, I doubt that would be enough to kill him, but let's go ahead now. And sure enough, it doesn't, because like seconds after that, we're all leaving. Zegram turns around and Seed is somehow back, like up on the platform, and Zegram like waves the most like "see you later, work buddy" wave ever, just like hey, and he keeps going. And Zegram's evil, by the way, in case you couldn't tell yet. Zegram's working for Volcog. Like, it's now obvious he's a work buddy. But as we leave, Seed says, they're clueless. They're playing right into to my father's hand, and it's all spooky and mysterious like. So then as we get closer to the end, we hear Borga scream out in pain. So we superhero jump like the Iron Man 1 poster into this obvious boss arena that looks completely different from anywhere else. And we see Borga getting like stomped on by some Datron robots. And they take their sweet time to go in and save Borga. They're just like, oh, look, it's these robots from Datron. And oh, look, it's Borga. And then the robots come over and like curb stomp Borga. And we're like, oh no. Should we help?
Yeah,
I think we should help now.
Stomp on him or something.
Yeah, like they kick him in the crotch and over and over.
And then they're like, right now's a good time, I think.
Yeah, like this is fine. Like we'll wait 5 seconds, feel it out, and then we'll jump in. And it's
let's see what the robots do.
Yeah,
yeah.
So we jump in, and this is the first time I used Supernova, and this is when I noticed how strong it was, because it took out all 3 of these guys in 2 hits of Supernova, which was great. Like it made the fight so easy, and I was like, okay, screw Desert Wind 3. I'm not going to grind for this rose anymore. Like I'll get it when, because like the website was like, it's available in shops from like chapter 10 onwards, and so I'm like, I can wait till chapter 10 to get this get a rose. I can just use Supernova and Spinning Moon now, because it 2-shot this final boss of this dungeon. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I wrote in my notes that I actually love Zegram just because I get to use Supernova when he's in the party. But shortly after this fight, I unlocked Spinning Moon, so I can just replace Zegram with Digo and still have my main party. Speaking of which, what's your main party now that you can choose?
Yeah, it's Jaster, Kisala, and Digo.
Yeah,
We've pretty much been sticking with them.
It's such a good party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Zegram anymore, so I had to replace it with Digo. But I really have to go back and work on Digo's revelation because I did not work on that.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Everybody loves Digo.
Yeah, Digo's the best.
He's so strong.
When I make perlers for everybody, am I just going to send a Digo to everyone?
I would say, like, personality-wise, I still really like Jupus Tuki.
Yeah.
And I like his stupid name.
I was going to do a Jupus, a Digo, and a Steve, and then make myself a Mio. But
I liked Jupus just because of aromatic boost. I was like, he's holding coffee, and that's me.
Yeah, a key point in his backstory involves coffee. So
yeah, so then he's gonna be part of my party immediately. Thanks.
Yeah,
if you make a Kisala, I think Ken likes her a lot.
Yeah, I really like Kisala.
he enjoys when she uses Deadly Stench.
Deadly Stench is great, and I love that, like, because the key item that unlocks it is Captain's sock, and it's obviously Dorgengoa's sock, and so she farts into her dad's stinky sock and throws it, and it's an AoE spell attack, and it's beautiful.
It's hilarious too.
The game is so campy.
I love it.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
she like leans when she's doing it. She like leans forward, and she even goes and like makes a face.
I love it so
it's
much.
Awful. It's awful.
Yeah,
but I'm
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's hilarious for this pretty character who, up to like a certain point, her personality is just girl. I am the girl, and to see her doing this instead of like one of the gross dudes.
Yeah, like if you were looking at the cast of characters and you're like, all right, one of these characters has a fart special attack, you would look at Zegrum and be like, he's a dirty, gross pirate. He's the one with the fart special attack.
Right.
But actually, he's a bounty hunter. He's not a pirate. The only pirate on our team is Kisala. So there you go. Yeah. Her I love that her ranged weapon is her foot, because she just she drop kicks everything, and it's like, it's the coolest thing. Like, I love switching over and playing as Kisala, like, every now and then. Now,
her moves give her more personality than any cutscene or dialogue with her ever will.
Ever since she kind of was like, even in Hallway Simulator, like, she was starting to like get her own ideas. I didn't like the ideas that were there in Juraika, but like, she has in cutscenes like developed some, especially over chapter 6 when we got Digo. And so like, I'm enjoying her in like a general sense, but I will agree that most of her flavor is coming from her moves, which is like cool, but like, she's the girl on the team. You got to give her some screen time, guys. Like,
yeah, I feel like there should be equal importance between her personality in the cutscenes and her personality and her abilities. Because, like, if you're playing a game where you're not getting cutscenes, then the personality needs to come from the gameplay. If you're playing a game where it's like turn-based RPG, where you just like use an ability that you pick from a menu, then you need more of your personality to come from the cutscenes. But where we're doing an active combat in a game that has cutscenes, they need to both get equal screen time. And it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, you know, for some characters, it's just more the personalities coming out in the moves.
Yeah, and I feel like Kisala's episode hasn't happened yet. Like, we kind of just got thrown in with her in a cutscene at the beginning, and then thrown in on Juraika. But Juraika was more about Lilica, and then Zerard was all about Jupus, and then obviously Vedan was about Digo, and then chapter 9, spoilers, is about Zegrum. And I feel Kisala's going to have a chapter soon, and we just haven't had it yet to give, like, because like, she's starting to disappear as of last week. So it's like, we know something big is cooking for her, just don't really know what it is yet. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so after the fight, we realized that we're really shitty saviors, and all that beating that we watched Borga get was fatal, and so he's about to die. And Harry runs in to be with his friend, but then the Cancer King shows up as a brightly colored ghost, and he tells us that Borga was his loyal servant for so long, and he's protected this place even after, quote, becoming a beast, unquote. So does that mean that all beasts are dead people and not just the proto beast? Like, they casually mentioned, like, oh, even after he became a beast, like,
I think that's what that means. Is that I think that there's a connection between, like, the beasts being dead and them coming back.
Yeah, it's weird, and like, I wonder what that means for like the game, and if we're going to get any of that, or if it just was a throwaway line or something, or if it's just in Borga's case where something happened to him to become a beast or what. But it just no one asked questions about it after saying, oh, and then he became a beast and stuff. So I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens, and I am fully prepared for it to be a throwaway line.
Yeah.
So the Cancer King says that their time in this world is over and they don't belong here anymore. He says, Borga, come with me. And then Harry's like, no, Borga. And then Borga turns around and for the first time is like, Harry. And Harry's like, he said my name. And then they start to disappear, and the Cancer King gives us a crab Funko Pop. And
that is what it is. Yeah.
And then he disappears. Harry's all sad, and we're like, "Are you going to be okay?" He's like, "Yeah, it's better this way." Borga always longed to see the king again, and now he can, and he can finally rest. And I'm like, that's a very mature realization to have in the 5 minutes since this cutscene started. But you're a better man than I. You're fit to be ruler of the street people.
He's like, yeah. He's like, no, yeah, it's okay. I get it. And I'm like, how long ago did this happen?
You got over this guy's death real fast.
Right? Like, typically there's like a 6-month mourning period before you start to like even want to get out of bed again, much less like 5 minutes and you've already accepted it and you're like, the world is a better place because of him, so I'm okay with it. So before it fades to black, we see Desert Claw, and he says, "One step closer to the legend," and then he disappears, goes away. And then I had a mark scene here, but it's because I did it out of order, so I don't think you guys did.
I don't recall we might have. I don't remember it.
Okay.
I would have to watch our Let's Play again.
If not, we'll talk about all of them in the.
Yeah. I should have watched it anyway.
Yeah.
But
it happens. I did find a person that just put up the cutscenes on YouTube. So if you don't want to watch the 2 hours of your Let's Play, it's like 10 minutes of cutscenes per chapter, and that was my refresher. I'll link that to you guys later. But
okay, cool.
But yeah, so after we finish Vedan, you can go pick your next planet, and we all picked Juraika, even though I've already mentioned like 3 or 4 times that I did it out of order. So we get to the Jungle Ruins, which is already through half of the chapter's dungeon, like because you leave north out of the Burkakwa village to a new place, and you're instantly in a new dungeon, and it has new dungeon music, and you're like finding your way through. It's more of like a hallway type dungeon, like the old style, but like it's still new. There's new mobs. There's not really puzzles, but there's like map figure-outy to get through and stuff. And then the plot starts halfway through it, which I thought was very weird.
Yeah.
There's nothing really exciting about the first part, except it was way prettier hallways than the jungle one was. Just the jungle floor from the earlier chapters. But one thing I did think was cool for all of Juraika is there aren't NPCs, except for the random shop NPCs that are like, man, I'm so lost. Will you buy something? But
I love it. I love it from a gameplay perspective because like I don't want to fucking deal with everybody else.
But the NPCs that you can talk to are all ghosts. They're just like little floaty fire spirits, and you can talk to them.
I don't get that.
And like it's ruins. Everyone's dead. I loved it.
I didn't know I didn't understand the flame part. I mean,
I think
like,
it's just
when I saw that they had. When I saw that they had names, I was like, "Oh, this is a spirit," but I didn't understand why the color choice was that because I was like, "Is that above?"
Yeah, it's usually like a palish blue, but they're like bright red orange here. So after we get through that, we finally make it to the ruins, and we see Burton, and he's like, "Oh wow, these are so similar to the ruins on Vedan. I wonder if they're related." And we walk in, and he's like, "Oh hey, what's up? I'm surprised that you're here because of the evil witch." And Lilica's like, "Isn't that just like an old wives' tale?" And Burton's like, "Well, legend has it that an evil witch has protected this castle for thousands of years." And Kasala gets scared, and she's just like, "Cut it out, Burton." And she's like, "But it's true. Obviously, you know this because you're here to steal her ghostly treasure." And then the witch flies in and is like, "You're here to steal my ghostly treasure?" And Burton's like, "No, not me. These guys, they're the pirates. They're here to steal your treasure." And we're like, "We didn't say anything."
We said no such thing.
And so she's like, "Everyone who enters this castle is cursed for eternity, and you'll never leave alive." And we're like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna go fight you, I guess, and get the Leo King seal because that's what we're here for." So she summons some giant statues to stop us, and we illusion sword them to death because we can't desert wind them to death because they're tall. So then Burton scampers off. Real quick, Michael, you do at least have illusion sword, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because illusion sword like owns it kills everything.
It's great.
Yeah. So like not having desert wind is okay because you have illusion sword. So like you're like, "Oh, my desert wind doesn't do it." I'm like, "But illusion sword will," so it's okay. Like if the fights with desert wind are 1 second long, the fights with illusion sword are about 3 seconds long, and that's it. Like it's still super overpowered.
Yeah.
But so Burton scampers off, and we chase after him, and we do the second part of the dungeon, which I really liked a lot. So just like in Vedan, you have multiple floors, but the bottom floor I think is a better dungeon than the top floor. But you can switch between them at any time. Like you just jump up and you can grab the ledge and whatnot. But the bottom floor, like you'll hit dead ends and have to go through like these side alcoves, and so it like winds and is like super duper cool. Like I thought this half of this chapter's dungeon made up for the whole rest of the planet that wasn't nearly as good, but I really liked it. It's still a hallway with like 1 or 2 branching paths, but like
I don't think navigating around this part was bad though.
Yeah, it's not hard to navigate, but it's fun to explore. Like if you're just walking down the path and trying to get to the boss, like you can do that pretty easy. But if you're trying to get all of the chests and stuff, like it's so vertical and windy, and I loved it so much.
Also, there's a lot of save points.
Yeah, which is nice. I love when this game gives me save points a lot because we glossed over this at the end of Vedan, but you clear out the planet there, and they give you they're like, "Okay, you have all the save points, so now here's all the chests on your map." So I wasted some time before I realized how long Zerard was going to be, and I went and I got all of the chests. And on Juraika it was so easy because there's like a save point every block pretty much, and so like it was super easy to go back and get all of the chests. And yeah, I just really liked it.
You should go back and do that.
Yeah,
it would probably help Revelation a lot.
Oh, definitely. So halfway through the dungeon, we hear through a doorway Seed like shaking down the witch, and it's like, "Give me the treasure!" And she's like, "I don't have the treasure." He's like, "Give me the treasure!" And they get in a fight, and he calls her. Says something like, "I'm not going to be afraid of a disembodied witch." And she's like, "You say I'm disembodied, but you're the one without a soul." And she like summons like a tornado and scares him off or whatever. And then at the end of that, she's speaking to herself, and she's like, he's after my treasure, my Leo King. And Burton's like, the treasure is the king? What does that mean? As if it wasn't a non-metaphorical sentence. And so, a little further in the dungeon, we fucking see those poor people from Zerard again. Like,
what the hell are they doing here?
How the fuck are they going to afford 2 spaceship trips and a journey into a haunted castle underground?
Ken was immediately like, they are dead. They're ghosts. Like, they're not alive.
Have to be.
Like, they're in cahoots with Zegram.
Like, something is up here. Like, you don't just like. And then Chie, the little girl, is just like, "Mom, is Dad here?" Like what was the mom's excuse? Like, okay, we're going to go, like, there's a witch here that curses everybody that comes in for eternity. She's probably going to kill us. There's lots of high-level mobs. We have no money. We have no gear. But, like, we're going to go here and look for your dad. She's like, we last saw him on Zerard. Shouldn't we just put up, like, a missing photo or something?
Alternatively, maybe they're stowing away on the Dorgenark and, like, somehow getting off and running ahead of us.
Maybe so.
Like, deep into the jungle ruins for whatever reason, because they know we're going to show up there. And then, like, I have no other explanation other than they're dead. They're just dead.
They're probably ghosts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I put in my thing. I was like, just move on. This is not how you find your husband. Hire a PI or move on or something. So,
Space PI.
We make it to the end of the Leo King's crypt, and we see that Burton has turned to stone, and we're like, what the fuck? And then the queen
She
queen
had
shows
a snake, so clearly she was Medusa.
Yeah, like, she's definitely Medusa. And
her hair is a single snake.
Yeah. So we fight her, and I don't remember much about her fight. I know she went down fairly easily for me, but I'm over leveled and have illusion sword too, so, like, everything goes down pretty easily. But I know that you had a different experience, so take it away.
Yeah. We died. So what she'll do every now and then is call down lightning onto the party. We didn't know that we could just run around to avoid that. So we got zotzed a lot, and we died when she was about a third of the way down, maybe. So we started it back up, and I was reading a boss strategy, and, like, a whole bunch of people were like, just use supernova, and I'm like, well, we don't fucking have that. So that's out of the question. But Ken was like, all right, I'll just illusion sword and we'll see what happens. And so I was paying attention to whenever she would do the lightning and he would run around. But it was like a hot knife through butter when we used that illusion sword. Yeah. She just took so much damage.
Yeah, illusion sword is, like, way too powerful. Because what it does
That's what I used was illusion sword.
So yeah, illusion sword, it says on the thing, this thing can't be blocked. But what it means is this ignores damage, I think. Like, I think it eats through people no matter what. Like, every boss, it'll just completely eat them. And it shouldn't have been the second thing you unlocked. Like, imagine how much, like, it would have been way harder, and it would have been a lot rougher to get through 2 chapters a week. So this would have been a much longer series of ours. But imagine if they gave you illusion sword, like, now instead of before. Like, because there's so many things that, like, I didn't, like, the whole Eggman boss on Zerard, I didn't even, like, interact with him, and he had such cool mechanics because I could just put on illusion sword and damage boost through his damage to just kill him in a couple of hits type thing.
Yeah.
And if they would have held that off to be a late game ability instead of your second ability, like, this game would have been drastically different and probably would have been more satisfying to get through, even though it would have made it way harder. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't hard. It's a weird choice to just give us, like, such an OP move.
Yeah.
But yeah. So after the fight, she's like, "No, my Leo King!" And she runs over to the crypt, and then we get a flashback for her, and she's like, "I've tried to protect you for so long, so I made a deal with the devil that you would stay young and safe forever." And she opens the crypt, and there's a baby in the box, like a literal newborn baby.
I just did not expect that.
I didn't either.
I was expecting it to be like she was hysterical, and it would be like
a dead body,
but like of a child or something. Like,
yeah.
There she definitely was mother-child vibes the whole time, and she definitely seemed like a hysterical mother. I was expecting this to be like in Dawn of the Dead when his baby is a zombie and he can't even like see it; he only sees his baby or whatever. Like, I was expecting that to be the thing where she's mourning over this dead body for 1,000 years, but no, it was a 1,000-year-old baby. It was fucking weird, but
yeah.
So Seed is there and was like, this is the Leo King, this is the treasure. I guess the key piece isn't here, and he fucking stabs the witch. And we're like, what? How could you do that? And he's like, you're the guys that fought her. I just took her out of her misery. And
which is like the most passive aggressive thing to say,
right? Like, fuck that guy. But yeah, so then after he leaves, the magic baby boy gives us the lion Funko Pop, and we then go on our way. And so then on our way out, Lilica hooks the Leo King up with some family in Bukaki Village, and we head on out.
What? Wait.
Stop. Pause.
Hold on. Time out.
What it's called.
I was trying to get away with it too, if it weren't for you meddling kids.
I know too much Japanese and porn.
Right? So, yeah, she hooks him up with some family in Burkakwa Village, and we head on out while Desert Claw watches from the corner. And those were the 2 chunks we were doing this week. It's kind of a short week because this chapter is long, but it's really long gameplay, not very long story. So
yeah.
The episodes are going to be pretty short. This says we're at 47 minutes. Yeah, this is probably the shortest episode we've done, but it's because it would have been the longest episode we had ever played if we did the Zerard chunk. So
I'm not looking forward to that.
The important thing to know is that we when you give back 1 key piece, they're like, oh hey, Alistia is open. It's a like pristine, like natural park planet just filled with oceans, and as part of its protected status, it's only open to the public for a couple of months every year. And so it just opened, and everyone's like, man, we deserve a vacation. And so you can head there, and there's some plot that happens there. It's all entirely optional, which I think is kind of cool, but to pad out so we don't have to, because like the amount of plot that's in Zerard is about the amount of plot that's in these other 2, so it would be a 22-minute episode if we didn't add it. So we're adding Alistia and Zerard, but you have to go to Alistia before you go to Zerard. Otherwise, you'll be stuck until you finish chapter 9 to be able to get back to your thing. So if you started Zerard, it's fine. Just don't finish Zerard so that you can still get on the Dorgengoa and go to do Alistia first, then come back and finish Zerard.
Yeah, here's the great thing about having a grinding slave. He's got multiple save points set up before cutscenes, so when we go to do our Let's Play, we can just, like, skip around.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we can skip around to various save points, and that requires us to restart the game every time, but I'll just, like, cut those parts out when we have to do that, so.
But
that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's super awesome. So yeah, we'll do Alistia first, and then we'll go to Zerard. The reason that we didn't squeeze in Zerard, because you're like, well, this episode was so short, you could have squeezed in the other. So every dungeon in the game so far, 100%, has had 4 to 5 areas in it. Like 4 to 5 save points, and you'd make your way through. I think the prison had a little more than that. I think it had 6, because I think you had 3 getting out of the prison, and then 3 on the way out. So I think that one was the longest one we've done so far. Everyone else, there's like 4 to 5 save points for the dungeon. This next one, so it started off and I thought it was cool because there's 2 towers, but as you're climbing up, there's bridges between the towers, and you go across those bridges a lot. So you're zigzagging back and forth, and then you get to the top, and you deal with the boss at the top of that tower, and then and so that takes 7 save points to get up to the top. So it's already almost twice as long as every other dungeon out there. So you get to the top, and then you're like, okay, well, how do I get to the top of the other tower? And you guessed it, you go all the way back to the ground, and you climb up the other tower, which also has 7 save points. So this one dungeon is now 14 save points, a good 3 to 4 times longer than every other dungeon we've ever done. And it has only as much plot as these do. So it's kind of boring. A lot of just like running and walking through a hallway. Like, the dungeon itself is really cool designed because like everything is very vertical in this dungeon. Like there's like 2 floors to every floor that you're on. Like there's the upper level and the lower level, and you're constantly having to go down a level to make your way under, to go back up a level and stuff. And it's really cool. It's just annoying that there's 14 of them that you have to get through to finish the dungeon. So next week will probably also be super short because it's just a bonus dungeon and then this small amount of plot. But we padded it out as much as we could because it's going to be a huge play, because it's probably like 4 hours to get through Zerard, and then probably 2 hours as normal to get through Alistia. So that's a huge amount to play. Not really a lot to talk about, but yeah. What was everybody's favorite part of the playthrough this week?
I liked finding out that the Leo King was just a fucking baby for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
there was something really, really hilarious and also terribly sad about that.
Yeah.
And like the way he summons the Leo King Funko Pop, is like he holds up his hands and they glow, and it just manifests, and I'm like, wow, you are some magical baby.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, are we gonna have to lug this baby around forever?
And one thing
that's what you were worried about? Like, it's like literally in a crypt, asleep for 1,000 years, and then it gives you an item that you need, and then you're like, thanks, but like,
what do I do with you?
I don't want to take you home, really. Is there like a fire station I can just leave you at or something?
I don't have time to take care of an immortal baby.
Yeah.
Because that means diapers forever.
Right? But the thing that I loved about that the most, because I think that was also my favorite part, is it's part of like there's an under like subtext. That's the word I was looking for. There's a subtext in this chapter for all 3 of them that trying to protect the past is what has ended the future, because none of these castles went on to be the capital of the city. They all died, and then the planet like bulldozed over them or whatever.
Right.
All of it was because they were like, oh, we need to protect this thing and not let the changes that are happening mess us up. And so like it's true on Zerard, it's true here. It's like vaguely true on Vedan, so it's not like a hard and fast like this is obvious what they were going for, but it's still like here she was like, oh, I need to protect my baby, so I'll make a deal with the devil to protect him. Well, then now he can't rule. Now the people have no ruler. Now the planet got destroyed and they're still in the Stone Age because of you protecting your baby. And it's like cool, like it's kind of grown up for this game that farts into a sock so regularly. But yeah, I really surprisingly liked the Juraika one.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
I gotta say, I like Juraika. I liked it from the narrative. You know, I think that Sam's right. The theme behind it, I think, really talks about like not progressing or not letting what's happening happen. But mostly I just like the witch design because she had one huge eye.
Yeah. She's pretty crazy looking.
Yeah. And then
pretty funny.
I'm glad that Spiffle wasn't here to be racist, the fact that she was another magical space elf. But
I also really liked her snake, even though cobras don't come in those colors. Those are king snake colors.
But that's a space cobra.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It also had crazy space cobra eyebrows.
Sharks don't come with nose rings, so
okay, fair enough.
All bets are off.
But yeah, it still looked really cool as someone who is super into snakes. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it a lot, and that's not to say that Vedan wasn't great. I really loved Vedan's dungeon. Like the whole part of it was great, but it just like Juraika just won me over. Like
Yeah.
because like the plot of like, oh, he's a beast, they didn't really explore it except for like 3 throwaway lines. They're like, a beast, shouldn't we kill it? And then Jasper's like, no, that's racist. That was it. That was like the whole like part of that subtext. Everything else was just like Leomon taking one for the team. And
Yeah, I really feel like they could have done more with Borga the Lion Monkey because he like he's there so infrequently that even his best friend doesn't grieve over him.
yeah. Yeah, it's
So
like I can imagine a world where Rogue Galaxy wasn't already super expensive and they could waste another year's development on it. And this dungeon was like, you meet up with Borgo right at the beginning, and he like will do something to change something in the dungeon to help you get through it. Like that sort of thing would have been great. And so then Borga dying at the end, we would have felt something as the player, but here is just like, oh hey, we met you. Oh crap, we killed you in the first 5 seconds after we met you, and
he's dead.
Yeah, it was weird, but like it wasn't bad. It just like didn't like speak to me as much as the Juraika one did. But yeah. So as for the voting, this happened last game too, where we'll keep the voting open for another week, so it'll still just be the 2 weeks from the end is when we'll can it. So instead of the 13th, I guess it would be the 20th will be when the poll closes, and then we'll talk about everything then.
And right now it's neck and neck.
Yeah, which like I was surprised at, because like we always like excuse me, when we were planning this and like forecasting forward, like we kind of were planning around Sailor Moon, because we were like, everyone knows Sailor Moon, everyone loves Sailor Moon, like Sailor Moon will obviously win, but like we're going to fight hard for Magic Knight Rayearth because like we want to play that one, and then everyone is rallying around Magic Knight Rayearth, and so it's neck and neck. So
Yeah.
I'm thoroughly excited. Last time we gave all of us a vote, and I think this time we might just give, like, if it's a tie, then we'll go in and we'll have like our vote, because it would really suck if like say, because like this last time Rogue Galaxy had 3 votes, right? It would really suck if if all of us hosts were like, okay, cool, obviously our fans want us to play Rogue Galaxy, but all 4 of us are going to vote for Okage to then like just ignore the fans, and that's not the spirit of what we wanted to do with it. So we'll probably just be a tiebreaker vote, a single vote, and not four of them. But
I think that makes sense.
But yeah,
I do too. It's a good idea.
We're learning. We're making this shit up as we go along. But yeah, if you, speaking of voting, you can go and vote on our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. You can donate there to cover hosting costs and game costs. And right now, the thing, since we've made our hosting costs, the thing we're saving up on the Patreon for is to get Spiffle a better microphone. So if you want him to sound like he's not Skyped in, you can help us out over on our Patreon. We also have merch available, which is at bit.ly/rpgmerch. We have shirts and beach towels and phone cases and a lot of cool stuff over there. I noticed yesterday that because they share a design, the like everything except for the t-shirt is called the RPG Book Club beach towel. Like the design for the phone case is called the RPG Book Club beach towel phone case, which
that's it.
It's so great. Like I should probably go and fix it, but I think it's now canon that's the beach towel phone case.
RPG Book Club, the podcast, the beach towel,
the phone case,
the t-shirt, the movie.
But yeah, all of those, same thing. Any profit from that is just being poured back into the podcast. We're not trying to get rich here. We're just trying to afford to play video games. And,
yes.
And then if you want to talk to us, we have a Twitter at RPG Book Club. Lately, I've been really bad at posting, but I've been really good at retweeting leftist memes and realizing I'm not on my personal account. So there's that, I guess. And then
if you like some leftist memes, come join us.
And then our Discord, which I don't pay to have a catchy URL for it, so it has a link in our description for this episode. Also on our Twitter, our Patreon, everywhere. You can find us on the web. We have our Discord link, and then we also have an email at rpgbookclub@gmail.com. And it would be really cool to get an email from somebody that isn't just Libsyn saying like, hey, you have to pay this week, don't forget. So if somebody sends me an email, it'll make me really happy, and I'll give you a shout out on next episode. But yeah, join us next week, and we'll play the Optional Planet Alistia, and then the Zerard section of Chapter 8, Chasing the Legend, and it'll be super cool. So where we'll stop, because I've already done it, is when you get the last key piece, find the first save point you can and save there, and do not go to the Dorgenark, because if you go to the Dorgenark and you step off of the save point, you get flung into Chapter 9. So save before going back to the Dorgenark, and that's where we'll end it. So for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
I've been Michael Rodriguez.
Bye.
Bye.